Welcome back to the Behind the Well Show. I'm your host, Roger Abel, in studio with Elias Randel. Elias, what's going on today?
Another day, another dollar for me, Roger.
I'm getting ready to go to Disney tomorrow. So
Sounds fun.
I talked to Molly.
Busy.
Yeah, I'm probably going to need a vacation from the vacation when I get back.
Yeah, there's no relaxing at Disney World. I know that from experience.
Yeah, how many times have you actually been there?
Well, so my grandparents, when they retired, they moved to Central Florida, so I've probably been half a dozen times. I went a bunch as a kid, and then my dad, so my kids' grandparents have already taken my oldest once, so I'm sure I've been there 6 or 7 times.
So what I'm curious about, which one of my daughters is going to be the fearless one? I have a feeling my 3.5-year-old is going to be more adventurous than my 6.5-year-old.
Adventurous about what? Meeting the characters and
rides. I think my 3.5-year-old will have no fear, and my 6.5-year-old is gonna get up there and she's gonna have to use the chicken line.
No,
I think so.
No, she can only go on the small rides anyway.
What? Blake can go on all the rides.
She's tall enough to go on anything.
Yeah, London's 41 inches. London's almost tall enough to go on everything. There's only like 2 or 3 rides London isn't tall enough to go on. But Blake's, she's like 5 feet. So I think she can go on about everything.
Wow. Well, good for her. That'll be fun. Hopefully not too scary for her.
I don't really like rides that well.
No, roller coasters are painful when you get old.
I'm hoping they just want to do like a lazy river or something, you know.
Well, the rides that are fun, so if you can do the like virtual reality rides where you like sit in basically a car type seat and they make you feel like you're moving because of the visual effects on the screen, those rides are fun because a roller coaster, if you go turn too fast on a roller coaster and your neck
jerks you out. Yeah.
Yeah, well, when you're old like we are now, that hurts. And then it hurts for the rest of the day, where when you're 16, you go on those roller coasters and it doesn't hurt at all.
Or like your 3-year-old who can't anticipate which way her neck's going to go.
Yeah, and then bangs her head on the side of the thing.
We've taken London on like several small little roller coasters and she loves to go on them. But I have to like hold her so she's not banging her head into the side of the little roller coaster.
So are you going to meet Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse?
I've been extremely uninvolved in this entire process, which is not like me. Like usually I'm kind of in there helping make decisions, but I've made 0 decisions. All I know is we're doing something called Bippity Boppity Boo. And it's apparently where the girls go get a dress from a princess and they do their hair and their nails and makeup.
Oh,
and then they have dinner with the princesses. So I think that's supposed to be like the highlight of what we're doing.
Yeah, so a good move that it seems like it works if there's really characters you want to meet, which there's a lot of characters that are easy to meet, but Mickey Mouse, right, that line's always really long. But if you go to Mickey Mouse during one of the parades, the line's usually a lot shorter, and you can actually get in to see him.
That's a good tip.
Because everyone's at the parade.
So I was reading the outline today, and I thought it'd be a good time to talk about this, and I'm glad Molly put this together, but it talks about how college students have unrealistic expectations about what the outlook is after they graduate college. But I think in general, if you think about what's happened the last 2 to 3 years, many people have set unrealistic expectations, whether it's the stock market, their house value. I mean, we're just at this place where people, I believe, have unrealistic expectations about what's going to happen in the future. And I just think the expectation that everything always goes up forever comes to an end. Look at the housing market. Everybody thought their house was worth 40% more than they paid a year ago. What part of that scenario is realistic? It may have been for a short period of time, but now, I just read an article yesterday that there's literally real estate agents now working the gig economy because there's no money to be made selling real estate. How many people came into real estate the last 24 to 36 months? I don't know. What are your thoughts on unrealistic expectations that people have set for what's going to happen in the future?
Well, okay, I have a few, and I'm going to start with one. I think part of the problem is we all became too rich on paper, right? Everyone's stock portfolios were the highest value ever. Everyone's home was the highest value ever. And not only that, but it's also kind of a question of, is that sustainable? So real estate. So when the real estate market goes up 25% or 30% in 1 year, that's not a sustainable way to live. We can't have home values going up 25% every year and then people can afford homes. It doesn't work that way. And so at some point, I think we kept, just from a bigger picture, we probably kept interest rates too low for too long, and that led to some of these things. And then as far as the unrealistic expectations, well, there's always going to be someone presenting the shiny little bullet that can get you rich with doing minimal work, and that's not real. That's not realistic. There's a few avenues to build wealth. You can have a career and make an income and save your money. In addition to saving and investing, you could maybe buy some real estate if you're equipped to do that. If you have the skills and the knowledge to do it, you could start your own business. All of those paths involve working and working hard. So to me, there's no get rich quick scheme. You can go buy lottery tickets. When the lottery gets over $1 billion, do I go buy a ticket? Yeah. Would I love to win the lottery and have $1 billion? Yes, I would. Is that going to happen for me? No.
No, lottery, that's literally the go broke slowly scheme. You're never going to win the lottery.
Right.
Like, you're not going to win. Yeah, we know people who've won. I mean, we do. We know people in this, people at our office know people who've won the lottery. How many people listening to this show actually know somebody who's won the lottery and they think their odds are good? It's not good.
The odds are terrible.
So, unrealistic expectations. I don't want anybody to think that I believe housing prices are going to crash or anything significantly bad is going to happen. I don't know. But you mentioned we shouldn't expect that our house goes up 25 or 30% a year in value, which that doesn't make sense. But what could happen is let me back up. You have to get to an average at some point. When we talk about, your home appreciates at 5 or 6% a year. Well, it doesn't go up 5 or 6% per year. That's on average, which means 1 year it goes up 25. And then for 4 years, maybe it doesn't go up at all. So what that means is maybe you still have this equity on paper that you haven't cashed in yet. That equity just might not increase the next 3 to 5 years as rapidly as it did the last 3 to 5 years. Could the stock market stay in neutral for 3 to 5 years? Yeah. Could it not go up? Could it go up 15% 1 year and down 7% the next and kind of be flat? Sure, it could. That's how we get to an average. But if you look back going into this year, the 10-year average return of the S&P 500, I want to say it was something like 14%. Well, if the historical average is 10, how are you going to get back to 10? You have to have a negative year.
Yeah, muted returns for a little bit.
And I think
less or flat.
People need to really evaluate how you're setting your expectations. It's kind of like, people tell me they're going to earn 12% a year interest on their investments because, this mutual fund has returned 12% over the last 30 years. And then they go into a calculator and they say, well, how much money do I need to save to get to $1 million? And they use the interest rate of 12%. And that they're never going to get to $1 million. And here's why. You don't make 12% every year. A static 12% return has no variance associated with it.
Right. That doesn't exist.
When we tell people, hey, what in these calculators that I go online and use, right? You go to a savings calculator on Google, what interest rate should I earn? What interest rate should I use? Use 6 or 7. Use half of what you think you're going to average. We're accounting for variance then. We're setting the expectation low so we're not disappointed. I've talked in this show many times about expectations for family trips. My expectation for this upcoming trip to Disney is very low. And then I can't be
Negative.
disappointed.
You have a negative attitude about it.
No, I'm not negative. Being realistic.
I'm kidding.
I don't want to go in and say, man, this is going to be the greatest trip. The girls are going to love this. I'm expecting after like 42 minutes, my girls aren't going to want to walk anymore. So we got a double stroller. I know they're not going to want to walk.
Good move. That's a good move.
I mean, there's just all these things like we're scheduling dinners. I go, yeah, that probably we shouldn't do that. They don't want to sit down and eat dinner.
Kids,
There's food everywhere. So the expectation is they don't want to sit down and eat dinner. We're setting this low expectation. You can do the same thing financially. Instead of trying to set the rosy picture so you can contribute the least, because that's really what people are doing. They want to put the 12% rate of return in there so that they can figure out what's the least I have to contribute.
Yeah, the least I can save, right.
The least I can save and have this hope that I get to this goal. Well, why hope? Why not put some level of certainty behind it? And, honestly, that's why we work off of a financial plan that uses multiple Monte Carlo simulations to get to the point where we can tell somebody how much we really truthfully believe they need to be saving to hit their goal.
Yes, and so a friend of mine, since we're, a friend of mine works in the mortgage business and real estate. So I was asking him about just the state of their business, what's going on. Well, it's pretty standard. Everyone in the mortgage industry right now is year over year, they're down like 50% on business that they're doing. So he's been walking people through an exercise, the folks he works with and even people in his own company, on a spreadsheet where he shows the value of homes. And then he looks back to like when people our parents' age were purchasing their first home, and he runs a present value feature on a spreadsheet. And he says, see, this is normal. We're actually just the price of a starter home has appreciated this much. And actually, if it was $150,000 in this market 30 years ago, this should be the price of it today. So we're right where we need to be. Now, obviously, interest rates coming down would be in their favor. But also historically, even with rates, you look what's happening. They're just reverting back to the mean, getting to a more normal level.
Yeah, we've been at a very abnormal level with interest rates for a long time. I mean, basically almost zero. I always talk about the first time I got my first mortgage loan was 2002, 2003, 2002, one of those years. But I think about it, and I got a rate of like 5.25 or 5.7. At that time, that was just like, wow, that was such a great rate. Well, up until this year, if you told someone they were going to have a 5.75% interest rate, and it was on an adjustable rate mortgage, they'd have laughed at you.
Yeah.
They'd be happy to get it today. But so this article I ran across that I thought would be good to talk about because of unrealistic expectations it kind of coincides with the whole student loans and how much debt college graduates have racked up. And part of the reason they've racked up all of this debt is that they have unrealistic expectations of what this college degree is going to get them in the future. So I think let's just kind of level set what the current state of a college graduate is. 7 in 10 college seniors are finishing their degrees with loans. The average balance is $30,600. Okay. The average starting salary for this year's graduating class is going to be around $50,000. That's from the National Association of College Employers. But what did people think they were going to earn? How much did these students think they were going to earn when they went to college? Because I think there's a lot of people that if you said, hey, you're going to go $30,000+ in debt to make $50,000, they might walk the other way.
Well, yeah, people might, but that's not the expectation. They're, apparently, according to this article, people expect to earn $103,000 in their first job after graduating.
That's unrealistic. You know what they haven't done? They haven't went to their parents and asked how much money they earn. This isn't $103,000 as a household income. This is $103,000 as an individual person. There's very few jobs out there that start at $150,000 or $103,000. And Then I want to revert back to what degree did you get to this $103,000 number? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to list off like 8 different degrees you could get and what the starting salary is. So here's what I think's interesting about this list. Computer sciences is the highest paying projected salary out of college, $75,900. 15 years ago, if we looked at what was at the top, it was probably engineering, banking, finance. So number 1, computer science, $75,000, engineering, $74,000, math and science is $66,000, social sciences $61,000, business $60,000, agriculture, natural resources $57,000, communications $55,000, and humanities $50,000. That's nationwide average starting salary. Yet our college graduates believe that they're going to make $103,000 their first year. How do we even get to that? How do they come to that summation? Did somebody tell them that?
No.
At the school where they sold that bill of goods? Well, here's why. I know people. They've told me they're getting it, especially advanced degrees, pharmaceutical degrees. I'm going to make $150,000. How? I don't know. Like I'm just, but that's why I say to them, how? Like, did you do research on what the starting salary is? Here's what's more mind-boggling. After 10 years, they expect to be making $200,000.
That's actually, to me, that number is more of the mind-boggling number, because there are a lot of careers that you'll never have the opportunity to make $200,000 a year.
Most careers you won't have that opportunity.
Right, most.
Unless you're getting an advanced degree, you're in some type of upper management. How are you going to get there?
That's a good question.
And that's what college kids need to ask themselves. You know, what am I going for? What's my expectation? Can I hit that goal? What's realistic?
I think something else that kind of feeds into this is a lot of social media. There's a lot of people marketing and doing things on social media, and it's easy to making money look easy. Especially, if you have a camera and a toy or two and some fancy stuff going on, you can portray this image that you're making all this money off of doing whatever it is, whether you are or you are not. And I think something I've noticed with unrealistic expectations, and this is, some family members of mine and people I know that have graduated and come into the workforce, I do think that their ideas are in line with this. And then just starting to ask questions about, well, how is that possible? What are you going to do? If you're going to make a good salary, there's a certain amount of value you have to be able to provide. So I think for college, if you're a college student or a younger person listening to this, I would try and get to the mindset of you're going to start somewhere, right? You're going to start at the beginning salary, whatever is appropriate for the market you work in. So then the question should really just be, how do I become more valuable? And are you working in a career that you like, that challenges you, that you're doing all the things you want to do? And then maybe try and figure out what's the top salary in the company you work at, and what is that person's job? And then maybe the question is, okay, what can I do today to start working towards that in the future? But that's going to be the answer to your question on how much money you can make. And I'll tell you this, if you work for a company and the owner is making $200,000 a year, you're not going to make that. Or if the person that they trust the most to run the company, like, that money's not on the table for you to make that at any point. But there is something that you could do to provide value and make some salary that's higher than what you're making today in the future.
No, I think that is a really good point. If you survey the people and find out what the top salary is, you know where you're going to go.
Yes, and
most
in
of this
20
information
years,
is
that
available.
salary is going to be in line with how that salary has inflated. It's not going to be, okay, if I want to be the sales manager of this company, the person doing it today is making $150,000. Well, that's not going to be $800,000 in 15 or 20 years to have that same position.
Exactly. Here's what's fascinating about this survey. Only 48% of the people thought college was worth the debt. 40% flat out said they regretted attending college. That's a strong statement.
Did you say
because
14? How many percent?
40% regret attending college. So let's think about this. They regret spending the money to have a big party. It means the money wasn't worth it and the party wasn't worth it. I mean, there's a certain amount of people that say, yeah, it wasn't worth what I spent. I wish I wouldn't have gone to college because of the degree, but man, I had a great time. This means 40% of the people didn't even have a good time at college. Elias, so clearly a lot of people, I think, are upset about how much money they spent to go to college and the debt that they have. But for a lot of people, that's not really where the debt's going to end, because debt's one of those things that's just a little bit of a vicious cycle. Once you're in it, it's hard to get out of it, because if you were going to get out of it, you could get out. So it kind of leads me to the next step of that debt for most college graduates. They get a credit card. And I think this time of year is important to figure out how to keep yourself out of credit card debt, because it's easy to get sucked into, man, I have to go get these great gifts for everybody. Otherwise, they'll be disappointed. And we came up with a list of ways that we could help people stay out of debt over the holiday season, particularly out of credit card debt. And someone I was talking to the other day, who was it? I don't remember who it was, but they were commenting on how much interest rates were on credit cards now. You know, for a long time, your variable rate credit card might have been 12 or 13 or 15%.
That wasn't high enough to...
Not high enough.
To get people's attention.
Some of these, okay, store-only credit cards. So these are the ones where you walk into Shields and they say, hey, do you want $80 to sign up for the Shields card today, right? We'll give you $80 free. Those stores are now charging, on average, 28.22%. 28%. So that's Gap, Shields, Bass Pro, 28%. The maximum APRs of a lot of those cards are north of 30%. So, over the holidays, be very mindful not to get sucked in. I think this is my number one tip. Don't get sucked in by, we're going to give you a free credit card offer and give you $20 or $50 or $100 off today.
So you're saying when I go out shopping and they offer me a free, like, to-go coffee mug to sign up for the credit card, I shouldn't do it?
Okay, I want people to think about this.
Because if they offer it to me, I'm going to want that free coffee mug.
I was at Shields the other day. We were getting clothes for the girls to get ready to go to this trip. I want to say the bill's like $425. They said, well, you could save $80 today. $80. Okay, that's pretty tempting, right? Your bill's $400, you save $80, like it's like 20%.
That's nice.
I said, no, don't need it. What they know is that $400 you put in that credit card, it's going to sit there.
They're going to make
for a year, 80. And they're going to, at 30%, it only has to sit there a little bit of time. Yeah. And they know you're more likely to use it. And I didn't ask the question, but my guess is it wasn't $80 off my bill. It was probably an $80 gift card. So you'd have to go back and spend the gift card plus buy more stuff. And then what would you do? Because now you have this credit card and you're getting points. You then put the points in the credit card. So my number one tip this holiday season for staying out of credit card debt is when they ask you if you need a new credit card, the answer should be no.
Even if they offer a free to-go coffee mug, you should just say no. Is that what you're saying?
It's not free money. Just remember, you're paying about a third of it. You're paying a third, not a third. You're paying 25% in interest. The other ones we've talked about all the time are the teaser rates. You know, Best Buy is notorious for this. We'll give you 12 months, no interest. Well, guess what? If you don't pay the credit card off in time, in 12 months, all the interest you saved accrues back, and it's accruing at 25% or more.
Right. If it's not paid off by the end of the promotion, you get charged interest back on that balance.
I found this out the hard way. Never forget. My wife and I moved into our new house, and this is when we first got married. And, most people move into their first house. You got married, so the money you got from your weddings, the down payment on the house, and all that stuff. So when you move in, we didn't have like a whole lot of money. And we didn't have a TV. Like, man, we need to get a TV. We can get 0% interest at Best Buy. So went out and bought a TV. Well, I just paid the minimum payment because I thought it was 0% interest. And I'm like, well, when the interest, once the 12 months is up, then I'll pay this thing off. Well, I got it, the bill, and after they added all the interest, it was actually more than I paid for the TV.
No.
And the interest is still clicking away at 25%. I'm like, so I called them like, well, what's going on? Like, this was 0% interest. They're like, yeah, 0% interest if you pay it off within the 12 months. So all of that interest got thrown. So I learned the lesson the hard way. We all learn lessons, either most of it's by the hard way, but I learned a lesson the hard way that being in credit card debt isn't going to help you financially at all. It's putting you behind the 8 ball to be successful with where you're trying to go.
It does. And, even with inflation pushing prices up, one of the stats in this is 35% of people are saying they may apply for a retail credit card, and that's up from 29%. So that's 6% more. So there's already a lot of people considering it. And if things are more expensive than they were a year ago or 2 years ago, well, now that credit card balance is going to be even higher. So if you can't afford the items with just the cash that you have, you can really do some damage to your financial picture by spending money on things that are more expensive now at a revolving line of credit rate that they charge people.
I think what you just said is enlightening. 6% more of the people are considering getting a credit card. It means they weren't even offered money for it.
What do you
They
mean?
weren't-
Like
they weren't
they
even
haven't seen an offer. They're just thinking about doing it.
They're just think about it. If you're thinking about doing a credit card, why are you thinking about getting another credit card? Because you're out of money.
Yeah, right.
That's the only reason you're going to get another credit card. Nobody wants
I see
another
what you're
credit
saying,
card.
yeah.
When was the last time you met someone, you were at a party or you were at dinner like, man, I really want to go get this credit card? No.
I don't think I've ever talked with credit cards.
When do they get the credit card? One of two reasons. There's an offer that they think is too good to refuse, which is the coffee mug or, no interest, or they're out of money. So then they have to get a credit card to make it work.
I just got one in the mail that was offering me like 80,000 bonus points.
Miles.
I don't even know what the
80,000 airline miles used to be a lot. I don't even think it'd get you a round trip ticket anymore.
Yeah, so I started reading it to see what is 80,000. That sounds like a lot. It's essentially $1,000 worth of value.
Yeah, and if it's an airline ticket, that's $1,000 worth of full retail value that you get to use when they say you can use it.
Yeah,
because I have an airlines card that
I stopped reading it and threw it away.
Yeah,
I don't know. 80,000 got my attention, but then $1,000 of value. That's not.
It's not enough to wreck your financial life.
No,
over.
I'm not blowing it up over $1,000.
Well, hey Elias, I think this is a good show. I think my final thoughts for this is don't let credit cards and debt take over and consume your holiday shopping. I know we're all going to be out doing it soon. Just make responsible choices. Go out with a budget. Don't take the free credit card offers. With that said, do you have any closing remarks, Elias?
Just everyone have a good holiday season, and thank you for continuing to listen to our show.
If you guys need any help with anything, you can go to btwellshow.com. Thanks for listening.